Welcome to Cinema Savants, your home for all your movie and TV news, with Todd Vandenberg, Lee Vowell, and Rob Steele.
And this week we've got a lot of post-holiday news. Actually, I'm kidding. It was a holiday week. There's not that much going on because everyone went, ooh, turkey, 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 gobble, gobble, I'm stuffed. I don't have enough energy left to do anything in the movie industry. I will, however, start with this. I absolutely refuse to see Wreck-It Ralph 2 on the grounds that with all the promotions and crap that have been going on with that movie, I'm fairly certain I've already seen the whole damn thing and it needs to leave me the alone. Is there anywhere you can go these days where you do not see Wreck-It Ralph?
No, there isn't. And the latest fun thing for the kids to do on the interwebs is to Photoshop various actors with other roles. You know, it's like, oh, what would Steve Rogers look like as Superman? What would Henry Cavill look like as Captain America? And on and on and on. And the latest one I've seen was, what would Thanos look like as Wreck-It Ralph? And it's just the latest bit. Yeah, I do feel kind of like I've seen the whole movie, but I do want to see the movie because it does look like a lot of fun. But I think they might have to make like $800 million just to cover their advertising budget. I mean, it is insane the amount of promotion this thing has gotten.
Or more. I mean, it's ridiculous. There is not a place I have gone in the past like 3 weeks. You know, fine, I'll look at a porn website. Son of a bitch, he's here too. I mean, it's. I don't even know what he's doing there, but you know, there he is.
Assuming he's wrecking it.
Well, it sounds like a porn title anyway.
It does.
Which, anyway, moving on to an actual, well, it was a kid's movie originally. But now they're coming out with what they're calling a live-action Lion King movie. It's not live action. It's CG. And the teaser hit, and I have to say, I am slightly worried about this movie because they made a change. It takes place in Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. I'm kidding. It's actually I just wanted to do that because I thought it would be funny.
I feel like I'm watching The Living Dead. Sorry.
It's still in Africa, but yeah, it's not live. It's all computer generated. You know, the sets, the aminals.
How this phrase live action ever started is beyond, because when they first announced this, we're both thinking, how do you do that with animals? That seems kind of weird. It's animated. The first one was animated. Oh, and by the way, had humans doing the voices. Shock. This one is animated, has humans doing the voices. It's computer animated as opposed to hand draw cell animation. That's the difference. It's an animated movie. Stop calling it live action. This is not Beauty and the Beast with actor. I mean, God. You know, it's just so they can throw it in with the other live action remakes that they've done, which have been so successful, which puts people in the mind of, oh my gosh, this is going to be like watching. No, you're not watching actors doing this movie. Just, it looks like it's going to be wonderful. Hopefully it will be wonderful. Hopefully it will be a little bit better than The Jungle Book was, which was the live action remake because it had one actor.
It had an actor.
And there was something just kind of off-putting about the animation in that for me didn't quite work. I think it worked for almost everybody because it only made like $900 million or something insane.
Yeah.
And Jon Favreau, I wanted to throw this in. He's the director of the Jungle Book remake. He's the director of this not live action version of The Lion King. I really like this guy's work. And this has something to do with Disney since they own them. He doesn't get nearly enough credit for the Marvel Cinematic Universe because who directed the one that really launched it? Jon Favreau directed Iron Man. And even we hardly ever mention him, and it's all as Robert Downey Jr. And the big grand vision is like, Favreau was the director who made the decisions. He was the one who was smart enough to say, hey, Robert, yeah, that sounds good, go with it. He's as responsible for the Marvel industry as anybody on the planet. And the guy doesn't get enough credit, and that's sad. So I really hope The Lion King is really good, but it's not live action. Don't call it that.
The only way you could do live action would be, you remember that really hideous show I think Nickelodeon did called The Annoying Orange? And I had to look it up. That's where they had like fruit and they just kind of pasted a mouth on it.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you'd have to do it, kind of.
It's like the old British version with the marionettes.
Hopefully
did
better.
The Thunderbirds, and they put the
Thunderbirds would have been better. The marionette version of Lion King.
That would be fun. I'd watch it.
Yeah, I mean,
especially if it was like really.
Thunderbirds was really not that bad. I thought, especially considering they're marionettes, the stories were not that bad.
No, they're kind of fun.
Anyway,
very, very weird but fun. Anyway, yes.
Just saying. Now, I read a story this week that I really thought you would like. It had to do with Filmstruck.
Yes.
Dying and coming back as the Criterion Channel. And I read this incredible quote, and I'm going to use, I can't put brackets to it for their full names because I'll be talking. Funny how that works. So I'll actually just throw the full names into the quote, and you can figure the rest of it out. And it comes from Edgar Wright, who's one of the big name people.
Yes.
He was talking with, who was it, THR, about the rebirth of Filmstruck as the Criterion Channel. He said, I heard Steven Spielberg and Martin Scorsese were talking to Warner Brothers about it, and I asked what I could do. And Spielberg said, well, if you want to round up your buddies, and guess what? That was the plan you came up with several weeks ago for how to say Filmstruck, is get these people involved. They did. Someone was listening to us.
Yay. I kind of doubt they were listening to us. But
we're global. They were listening to us ever since we had...
That's true.
Did that Prodigy interview.
Sure they are. Yeah, that just kind of seems like the obvious thing with multimillionaires who are sad about losing the service. It kind of seemed like, put some money into it, guys. The Criterion Channel apparently is going to launch early next year, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Not so cool that it's just not Filmstruck again. It's not because Filmstruck was much more than just the Criterion Channel. I mean, it's the huge archives that Turner Classic Movies had. But they'll be there because, I mean, it's a valuable property. It's not like, those will never be available. They'll be available.
Oh, yeah.
It just won't be under that one umbrella. But again, here we are with how many streaming services are we going to have that's, just unbelievably fragmented. Which, by the way, I mean, and that is awesome news, but I wanted to mention one thing about, speaking of streaming services, Hulu, for those of you who don't have Hulu yet,
get it.
You need to. Yes, it's $12 for a year right now. If you've ever had Hulu before, here's the problem is, though, if you currently are a Hulu subscriber, you can't get next year for $12. Former Hulu subscribers who have not had it for at least a year, you can renew, which obviously you're a new subscriber. So,
right.
So if you had Hulu anytime in the past 12 months, you ain't going to get the $12 deal. So you're screwed. But for those of you who don't have Hulu, $12 for a year of Hulu is absolutely worth it. This is the limited ad-supported version, which is fine. It's like maybe 3 ads during a movie. I mean, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. We watch it for the TV shows. My wife is very much into, The Good Doctor.
And Hulu does have a very different set of things of library compared to Netflix.
Did someone just throw something at you? Is that what that was?
I tried to. It was actually me bumping the table because I'm clumsy and stupid. So, I don't know if it's worth $8 a month on top of everything else, but $12 for a year if you don't have a Hulu, go get it. Yeah. That's 2 coffees at Starbucks. Just sacrifice yourself for one day.
But I have to have actually, I hate coffee. So, hey, that'll do. Speaking of things I suspect I'm going to hate. Wow.
Yes.
Warner Brothers and Margot Robbie have revealed the full title for the upcoming Birds of Prey movie. Oh, dear God.
Is that it? I love that.
No, that would make more sense. I think they're going to be able to put the title up on the screen and still have maybe 10 minutes left for the movie because the title is Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Fit that on a marquee, even as an acronym, BOPATFEOOHQ. That's longer than Wreck-It Ralph. I mean...
Yeah, that's... I like the title as a concept because it's funny, but not so much in practical use. That's kind of...
By the way, Lee is, if you're wondering what those sound effects are, Lee is reporting, you're not even Lee. Todd is reporting from Miami, and Lee is getting in the way. That's what it is.
That's what it is. He's doing a flyover. He's waving. That's what I'm flying into Sunny skies of Miami. It's, that's a little much.
Yeah, I saw that and went, no, it's not even going to fit on a book title. And I don't care if it is a what is it? They said it's a riff on Doctor Strangelove, or how I learned to stop worrying about and love the bomb.
And love the bomb.
Just
shut
up. You can
that is the official title, Doctor Strangelove, but yeah, everyone just calls it Doctor Strangelove.
I just call it Strangelove and get it confused with the Depeche Mode song.
And surfing porn.
Sure, why not? Well, speaking of surfing, we are going to Aquaman next, and I saw this morning, or I guess it was Friday morning, whenever it was that I found this. Producer Peter Safran? Safran? I don't know how you pronounce his name. I'm dyslexic, and the R and the F keep switching places in my mind. Have revealed that someone I was not expecting is in Aquaman, which opens December 21st.
I don't think anybody was expecting this particular person to appear.
Julie Andrews as a variation on the Kraken. That's who she's playing, and it's got a voice. Who knew?
That gives me hope for, more than anything, that gives me hope for the Warner Brothers DC Universe movies. Julie Andrews voicing the Kraken.
That's just weird, isn't it?
It's so weird and bizarre and funny. I like it. I mean, I still do not enjoy the bro-tastic version of Aquaman they're giving us. I understand why they went that way, to kind of clear out the image of Aquaman in the general populace of Aquaman being a dope wimp who just talks to fishes, which is not the character at all. If you see any of the DC animated things, Aquaman is as badass as any character that DC has.
Even if you go back to the 60s version.
In the comics, yeah. I mean, it's just unfortunate from the Super Friends is what it all boils down to. And then it turns into memes, and that's what people pay attention to. They pay attention to memes more than they pay attention to facts or what's in front of their eyes. But despite that,
we end up with presidents like Trump. Stop doing that.
Yeah, please stop. But the clips look really good. They look funny. They look exciting. It's almost. I have a feeling it might be just too many battles and not enough plot. But we'll see how it plays out. It's nice to have a chance to at least look forward to something DC is doing instead of dreading something DC is doing.
I'm just glad it looks like we'll be able to see this one. It doesn't look like it's going to be as dark as everything else.
Yeah.
Because there were parts of the last several movies where I go, I can't see anything on the screen anymore. Would someone strike a match so we can find out the sound? I'll give him this. The sound should have won Oscars because you can kind of figure out what's going on from the sound, but you can't see crap in these movies because it's too dark.
Yeah, the problem is you can hear the sound when they say Martha. But yeah, it's fun. Julie Andrews added to the cast is hilarious. I was hoping she was going to be Black Manta. I would be like, oh my god. But kidding, of course. But yeah, looks fun. Hopefully, it will be fun.
And speaking of fun movies, allegedly, actually, if you want something really good in this movie, watch Ed Burns' second DVD. What is it? The Different Class. He has a bit on this particular movie I'm about to talk about that makes it considerably different than the way you remember it. But Back to the Future made news this week because THR did a survey about which movies you would like, people would like to see remade or rebooted, and somehow Back to the Future topped the list.
That's odd.
With I can't find the percent anymore. It's like
looking for the percent. THR is the Hollywood Reporter. It's their shorthand version for their website.
Yes, it is. Was it 76% said they wanted to see Back to the Future remade?
That's very strange.
Now there is good news out of this though, because in order for it to get remade, you need director Robert Zemeckis and co-writer Bob Gale need to give their permission for any further films or reboots or anything. And both of them have said, not only are we against it, we've got it in our will that our estates will fight to make sure this crap never happens again.
Now, I'm surprised, not that that's their view, I'm surprised that they have control. That's
I
shocking,
think it's brilliant
and that's cool.
of them to do it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I don't understand why anyone would want to see Back to the Future remade or rebooted, because
it doesn't make sense to me.
I get that it has a huge fan base. I like it. I don't think it's like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and a lot of people do. If it's your favorite movie, which I guess it is for like 76% of these people who were, why do you want to see it remade? It's not going to be. Do you really think they're going to do a better job of it?
How?
I mean, if it's your favorite movie, how are they going to make a better job of it? And if you want to see a worse version, because right, if they can't do it better, it's not going to be as good. Why the hell do you want to see a second-rate version of back?
Well, now Marty McFly is going to be played by.
That's just mind-blowing.
Marty McFly will be not played by Michael J. Fox. He'll be played by Seth Rogen.
Probably.
It's going to go, no, don't do that.
I'm sorry, but let me clarify this for you Back to the fans. I just don't understand the whole concept of, that's my favorite movie. I want to see them remake it because it wasn't good enough. Or that's my favorite movie. I want to see them remake it because I know they won't do it as well. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense either way. So
thus further proving
kind of
that the first version was the best version and we shouldn't have done this in the first place.
Yeah, very, very weird.
No, I mean, other things that made the list, 69% said they wanted to see Toy Story, and I don't get that.
Wait a minute, what?
I know, the rest of this doesn't make any sense.
Story's not coming up. Who did they talk to?
I don't.
These 3-year-olds?
Crack addicts. Let's see, Jurassic Park at 67%. The original Star Wars at 63%. The Avengers at 57%.
Oh my God, people are insane.
See,
here's.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Nope.
After you, Chip. Okay, here's the concept. This is why you remake and reboot movies. Either things are very, very dated, and there's a rich story which is ready for a new generation, like, A Star is Born, because it hadn't been done since the 70s, and frankly, that version sucked. So the real version of Star is Born, which is worthwhile, was 60-odd years old. That's what you remake or reboot. Or you take something that really did have an interesting concept. Maybe it should have been done better, like Aliens versus Cowboys is a very uneven, weird film. Jon Favreau, I believe, actually. But it didn't hit the mark. That's what you remake or reboot, things that didn't quite work and figure out how to make them work right this time around. You don't take movies that are, oh my God, this is like the perfect movie of that type, and then redo it, because it's not going to be as good. Hello, RoboCop. That's just stupid and insane and foolish. And you're not thinking clearly if you really think you want a reboot of Back to the Future, because by comparison, it'll suck.
I mean, one of the
Look
things...
how good the Star Wars prequels were. Oh my God, they're so bug.
Well,
really think you want that?
You can also look at the other thing that made the list was Indiana Jones at 68%, which Lee would love. Hint. But I was thinking about the Indiana Jones movies, and I don't think that the Indiana Jones movies are sequels as such. Now, follow me on this. Because you have the Star Wars, the original Star Wars trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, fine, whatever. At the end of 1, Darth Vader's still alive. We've got an emperor we haven't seen. There's a continuing story. End of 2, Han Solo has been captured. Well, that's okay. Lando and Chewie are going to go get him back from Jabba the Hutt. That brings us to 3 or 6, whatever number you want to throw at it. That's more of a sequel. The Indiana Jones movies are more beginning, end. Here is a completely separate story, beginning, end. Here is another completely separate story. They're not sequels as such. They're episodes.
Very true. Absolutely
so I think
right.
you can go ahead and so every Indiana Jones movie they make, like the upcoming 5th one, apparently, which I think is called Indiana Jones and the Tricky Patch of Ice Outside the Post Office. I'm just saying that Harrison Ford is not as young as he used to be. It's a joke, and I'm sure he'll kick my ass for it later.
He's not quite as spry. That's true.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're episodes.
So yes, you can recast the whole movie and have a new Indiana Jones, a new Sala, a new Short Round, if you want.
Short Round. Yeah, but here's hopefully what they're doing is they're doing another story, a different story. They're not redoing Raiders of the Lost Ark. They're not redoing Temple of Doom. It's just another story.
Right.
And that particular franchise is set up for that because they've all been different stories that really don't have that much link to each other than the fact that it's Indiana. I mean, Temple of Doom was a prequel. And then you go back to The Last Crusade and it's like, oh, here's Dad who
I think the Bond movies are in the same
backstory.
boat.
Yeah, absolutely. They're not, there's some where the one leads to the next, but for the most part, they're episodic, which is very different from that. With the Indiana Jones thing, making another movie, it's not a reboot, and they're not remakes. God, I hope not. That would be stupid. You're just continuing the franchise, very different just like you mentioned, like with Bond. That's a different animal entirely.
Exactly.
Which the tricky patch of ice probably would win. So I'm pretty leery of this, but we'll see.
Well, they are already doing this with a movie, and a lot of these are movies that came out too recently for me to be remade. Although there is a bit of a
like Wreck-It Ralph 2.
Yeah, let's reboot Wreck-It Ralph. Deadpool 2 is coming back to theaters in a couple weeks. Mm-hmm. Only this time it's going to be a PG-13 version called Once Upon a Deadpool, where they've taken the heavily R-rated Deadpool movie, cut it back to PG-13, and replaced a lot of the graphic stuff with even more silly things, like there's now a frame to set this in. It's the Princess Bride, basically, because it starts, instead of Columbo reading Fred Savage a bedtime story, it's Deadpool reading a grown Fred Savage who would like to leave, but he's tied to his bed, so he can't. Oh, that's how they did it. Frame around the whole thing. They released a teaser for it, which I think had probably the best line that I've heard in a teaser trailer probably ever, which was the conversation between Fred and Deadpool, which went a lot like this. Fred said, "I prefer Marvel movies." Deadpool says, "We are Marvel." Fred says, "Yes, but you're Marvel licensed by Fox. It's like if the Beatles were produced by Nickelback. It's music, but it sucks." And I thought that sums it up beautifully, the whole thing. They know that. Well, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
Fox doesn't know it still, relatively clue-free. But the people who make this movie know, we kind of need to be in the regular Marvel universe, even if Disney owns it, and Disney owns us now, but, stuff and thing. That was a brilliant line. Thank you for putting it in.
Yeah, that is brilliant. And the whole framing concept, that's brilliant. And I don't know if we mentioned it before, but William Goldman passed away, the author of The Princess Bride and a lot of big properties that turned into big Hollywood things, passed away about a week ago. So
that is sad.
It is sad because he won't be writing any more crazy things like The Princess Bride, which probably 10% of the people probably 5% of the people who've seen The Princess Bride have read it. The book is awesome. Absolutely awesome. Hilarious. In many ways, even more so than the movie. So go find it. Anyway.
Yes.
Deadpool, Once Upon a Deadpool, I think it's a very, very funny concept. And maybe I'll squeeze in some time to go to see it. I would like to.
Speaking of books, because you mentioned books, and that kind of goes into the next thing, there's the BBC and Amazon are putting out something called the ABC Murders, which you'd think would be on ABC Network, but it's not, where John Malkovich is playing Poirot, which I thought was very strange because, there's an ongoing movie series right now where they're doing Poirot. The Murder on the Orient Express thing, that's who that character is. So I'm thinking, can we get a rule somewhere that says, if you're going to do a franchise, just one at a time, one Poirot series. As much as I love Sherlock and Elementary, one at a time, fellas. And I'm not even going to count the Robert Downey Jr. or whatever that god-awful Ricky Bobby as Sherlock thing is. I can't remember the actor's name, and quite frankly, I don't care because it looks horrible.
It does look horrible. I think it'd be interesting. Battling Belgians, one by a Brit and one by an American.
And
apparently there are Belgian actors.
Just one at a time. That's all I'm saying. You're competing with yourself over the same thing. I don't get that. But you know what? Let's end the show on a good note. At least for my wife, it'll be a good note. Because I did not particularly care for this series, but I think everyone I have dated since 1980 something has loved the series Northern Exposure. I never got into it, wasn't my thing, but CBS has said that they're working on getting Rob Morrow to come back and play Dr. Joel Fleischman in Sicily, Alaska for a Northern Exposure reunion of the Emmy Award-winning series that ran for 6 seasons. And most of the cast I know some of them have passed since the series ended, but most of them are on board saying, yeah, let's do it. I would rather see Rob Morrow come back in more numbers episodes, But, we'll take what we can get. Good news for Northern Exposure fans.
Yeah, when I saw that, it's like, that's just...
Oh, for fuck's sake. Did we lose you again?
Oh, good.
Okay, you're kind of there.
Here, hopefully. It sounded like for a moment I was gone on my end, too. Anyway, the producers just sat around one day and thought, hey, you know what? Let's call up Rob, see what he's doing. As in Morrow, as opposed to you.
I'm here, and I'll do it if you want me to, I suppose.
You would be awesome. That would be fun. Yeah, like Northern Exposure. That's kind of cool. Actually, that's not kind of cool. That's cool. Because they're not doing a rebate. They're not doing a rebate. You don't get the money back if you watch
you've been too much Black Friday stuff for you, my friend.
Yeah, totally. But you get a remake or a reboot. It's a revisit. It's a reunion. It's one of those things. That's fun. That's very nice. That's awesome. That's cool. Gilmore Girls, they did the same thing just recently. That's a good thing for the fans. It's a fan service, and it gives hungry actors another job, which is good.
There we go. Oh, actually, speaking of rebates and Black Friday sales, go to the website, cinemasavants.com, click on the button that has a little shopping cart, and it'll take you to the Coil Entertainment Network store where you can buy Cinema Savant shirts and posters and stuff. No, they're not posters of us because my wife doesn't even want a poster of me. She sees me enough as it is. But, we've got stuff. And it's on sale right now because the people who run the shop, who are not me, said, we're going to do a sale. And I said, go right ahead. So now is the time. Go buy stuff. Or, you can save your money and go to a theater and go see a movie.
Captain, we're losing power in the warp engines.
I think we should be leaving now.
I'm going to go home and sleep with my wife.
And on that unusually harmonious bombshell, it is time to end.
I am very disappointed!
Man, we have a weird job.
It's shameful, but, it's a living.
And like that, he's gone.
Hey, who turned out the lights?